gotten in contact with an employee at a grocery store directly to the south of that building that you're looking at. That is the Planned Parenthood building in Colorado Springs. And she sounds quite calm. The way she explained it was that they couldn't really see anything, but the grocery store directly to the south of the Planned Parenthood building is the King Soopers grocery store. And she says that the manager made an announcement that there's something going on. All of the shoppers were told they cannot get out. People were not being allowed in. There are about a dozen employees inside the store who are working. Everyone has been corralled to the back of the grocery store, so they're not near the front, not near any glass. They can't see anything. But you've been talking about, Brooke, that this is a busy area. This is a, sizable grocery store. If you have several dozen employees working inside that grocery store, a lot of people being impacted by this, a lot of concern. They just don't know exactly what's unfolding here.
Hold it right there. Before I show you any more of this, let me tell you my story of that horrific morning. Let me start off by saying, my name is Dustin, and I missed danger. I moved to Colorado Springs beginning of October 2015. I was in the middle of a divorce, so I moved to Colorado Springs to get away and to think and enjoy the mountains. I also had friends and family that lived there, and they hired me. We were rebuilding houses. Everything was perfect. A few weeks went by. Now it's November, and a big winter storm moved in. So the night of November 26th, I came back home and I took a shower and I ate. I noticed that I was low on food and tea. It was already too late that night. So I wrote my list down. I posted it on my fridge. I was going to wake up early to get my groceries so I could set an alarm. I started that movie Divergent. It came out the year before. It kind of reminded me of back home because me and the kids would watch that movie. I fell asleep sometime late, and then my alarm just kept going off and off. Guess what? I never woke up. I slept past it. Whew. All of a sudden I wake up at 9:30 a.m. It is November 27th, 2015. The King Sooper was just right around the corner from my house. So I got my bike, I went out the door, I locked it. I rode down the street and I turned right up the block. I turned into the parking lot, I locked my bike up. I went in the store to get my groceries. Shopping around, got all my groceries. I went to go check out. Shit! I forgot my tea! So I said, screw it. I'll just go by 7-Eleven and grab some tea. So I got my stuff. I went back out in the freezing ass cold snow, unlocked my bike, rode my bike back down the block, turned the left corner, went back up to my apartment, put my bike inside. I went into my kitchen to put up my groceries. I pushed play on the rest of the movie I fell asleep to the night before. I started to watch it this time. It was about 11:38 a.m. and all of a sudden I hear boom, 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 bow, 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 bow. Oh my God! I end up diving to my floor and I ate carpet. Dude, it freaking busted my nose wide open. I just started laying there and thinking my family back home, and I just started praying, please God, please God, please God, don't let this be going on. I don't know what's happening, please. I started thinking my family back home. I started praying so hard. I looked around for my remote. I'm still on the floor. At least by now, it's been 30 minutes since this has been going on. I finally found the local news.
We will now now want to go to a press conference with the Colorado Springs Police Department happening live now.
Not know the extent of their injury. We have an unknown number of civilians that are injured. We are still working through this situation. We do not have the shooter at this point, but we do have all of our resources brought to bear, and we are actively working through the different businesses and buildings to make sure that we provide medical treatment for the individuals that are injured, and as well as try to locate the shooter in this situation. At this point, Centennial Boulevard is closed from Fillmore Road all the way to Garden of the Gods Road in both directions. We ask that if there are people in this area that are getting this information in regards to the news media, that they shelter in place, either at the businesses to the south of the Planned Parenthood or in the actual business or just to the north of that. Again, we don't have the suspect yet, and we do consider this still an active situation.
I was praying and I was praying. I was thinking about my kids and I was thinking about their mother and what she was thinking if she saw it on the news. I was thinking about my mother and what she would see if she saw it on the news. They live back in Texas, and if they saw this on the news, they wouldn't know what to do. The cops were telling everyone to stay in their houses and stay down. All the King Super and all the Planned Parenthood area, they were telling everyone, stay the hell down. There is a live, active situation going on, and there are casualties. It lasted from 11:38 a.m. to 4:52 p.m. It was a mass shooting in a Planned Parenthood clinic, resulting in 3 deaths and injuries everywhere. A police officer and 2 civilians were killed. 5 police officers and 4 civilians were injured. The attacker, Robert Louis Deere Jr., was arrested, charged in state court with first-degree murder. He had a semi-automatic rifle. He was described a man with a cold stone face by an eyewitness from the parking lot. That's when he began firing and pursued a crawling man through the parking lot. He shot a man in the chest that ended up stumbling and going inside the King Super. They ended up calling 911. During the standoff, officers made it inside the clinic. That's when he started trading fire with them, killing Officer Garrett Swayze, 44. Lives also taken short that day was Carrie Stewart, 29, who ran back in the clinic to warn the others after being shot himself. Jennifer Murkowski, 35, who was just there with her friend. As many as 20 gunshots were fired in the first 5 minutes. Police swarmed the area and nearby stores and neighborhoods. They were all put on lockdown.
At this point, Centennial Boulevard is closed from Fillmore Road all the way to Garden of the Gods Road in both directions. We ask that if there are people in this area that are getting this information in regards to the news media, that they shelter in place, either at the businesses to the south of the Planned Parenthood or in the actual business or just to the north of that.
Later at court appearances, Deere, repeatedly interrupting proceedings, made statements affirming his guilt, calling himself a warrior for the babies. There was a mental evaluations ordered by the state. The court determined Deere to be delusional. He was ordered indefinitely confined to a Colorado State mental hospital.
He's the lawyer for the Batman shooter that drugged them all up. That's what they want to do to me.
I assume, is there going to be tested separately?
I'm housed with no toilet, no water. Contact Amnesty International. Have them contact me, please.
And certainly,
or the death of Mr. Deere's mental illness until we receive full
You're not my lawyer.
disclosure from the district attorney's office. Serious concerns about competency
Truth
in
coming out.
this case. And we are.
So that night of November 27th, I called my mom and my kids' mother. and my apartment manager, and I told them I'm coming home as soon as I can. I sold all my stuff to the pawn shop November 28th, and I got a bus ticket home that following Monday. By Monday night, I was back home in Texas. Oh yeah. And that's how I missed danger.